Hi, it's Matt here from Go Green Auto. So this is our own BMW i3. It's a 2015 range extender, but it's actually done 128,000 miles, so it's probably the highest mileage i3 in the UK currently. And I'm changing the brake pads. So this video is just to help anyone else looking at changing the brake pads on an i3 and looking to buy genuine BMW pads. So the video is not about how you change the pads, but just showing you what you get when you get BMW pads, and actually just the thickness of them, because what I'm finding is actually I didn't need to change the pads at all, because the new ones aren't actually much thicker. On this car the rear pads do need changing. The pads on this side have got quite low, and that's because it's got an electronic handbrake, and these electric handbrakes, they do tend to tighten the pads up quite tight, and you do tend to find they wear out quicker because they've got electric handbrakes. And these are the rear pads. So in the rear pads here you just get 4 brake pads with no other bolts or fittings, and let's just measure the thickness of these. I've lost my calipers, so I'm going to do it with a tape measure, but these are 10mm, so let's just have a look at the brake pad gauge here. And yes, so what's that one? 10mm. So yes, they're 10mm, well 10.5mm. So they're about the sort of thickness you would expect, and yeah, quite happy with them. However, the front pads I took out, and I thought I'd change them because to me they looked like they were getting quite low. Obviously not down to the wear indicator which sits in there, still had quite a bit more to go, but I thought, well, I'm changing the back, let's change the front. So I did ask on one of my previous videos, has anyone got an i3 with similar sort of mileage, and someone else said theirs has done 125,000 miles and was still on the original brake pads. I don't know whether this car has had the pads changed before, but on hearing that I would assume not, because the regen braking on these cars is very strong, and if you drive them properly you don't use the brakes. So these could well be the original pads from new, and I thought they were getting a little bit low. So if I measure these with my gauge here, it shows the pads are currently at 4.5mm thick, which is still adequate. You see here we've got colour coded, so green is good, new, okay, yellow is sort of medium, and red is when you've got to start looking at changing them, and they are at 4.5mm, so in between there before we move to the red. So yeah, they're still fine, but anyway, I'll change them. So get the new BMW ones, and then I looked at the thickness of those, and actually they're not much thicker. So these pads are actually only 7.5mm thick when new, and if we look on my gauge here, that's somewhere between that one and that one. So yeah, they are considerably lower than most other cars. Most cars will have pads at 12mm thick. So yeah, if we're measuring on the tool, we're already in the yellow on brand spanking new pads. So these have hardly worn at all. So I'm sort of looking at these and think, God, why have I spent the money? But anyway, so let's show you what you get with the front pads. You obviously get your 4 pads, you get some little tags, but here's the important bit, you get a full set of caliper bolts, and you get a set of shins, I suppose you would call these, which is quite good because it just keeps everything moving freely, but you don't get anything with the rear pads. So yeah, so really the purpose of this video is just to show people that the pads on the BMW i3 aren't as thick as others, so don't change them prematurely. If your pad is looking anything like that, that's doesn't need changing yet, because the new one isn't really going to give you much more pad thickness. So anyway, very short video. I'm not going to show you how to change the pads, that's not what this video is about. It's just to show you what you get if you buy new BMW pads, and basically how thin they are. So if you like this video, please do click the thumbs up on YouTube, because that really does help other people find these videos and find the channel. And have a look at the back catalogue, because there's plenty of EV related videos on there, and more coming soon.